Yeah. Joe has started the recording.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Hi, Joe. So, Reg.
Hi.
Hi, I see that Trump is finally stepping down. Are we going to have to talk you into doing that, or are you going to refuse?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be as a reluctant president to leave this Trump was.
I don't know. Bad things happen to ex-presidents, you know.
Well, I actually messed up on the FDAO Star Party announcement and got the wrong link in the wrong time. So that alone is an impeachable offense. So I should be tossed due to that. Chris, I see Janeane is on our list here, and she would like to give an announcement near the beginning of our session, if that's possible.
Yeah, that's fine. I just had a few things I wanted to say, and I don't think anybody had asked to present anything. So
I have a little something.
Okay.
Lunar.
Okay. So I'll put any photos from Edmonton, Dave?
I think I've got one I can show you.
Okay.
If I can figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Good practice.
Yeah, I can practice.
It'd be great if someone had any. It would be great if someone had any, some new news about the Arecibo thing going on, like what's going on down there.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's finished, I think.
Yeah, but I'm a bit surprised about that.
Yeah.
I wept when I found out that's such a beautiful structure, and to think it's going to be really tricky for them to dismantle it. I would have thought it would be just as easy to repair it.
Yeah. But
Well, wasn't there some talk that I guess where the way it's now, it's kind of broken it for a second time, so now they think it's too dangerous to try and repair?
But how are they going to gracefully knock it down without
probably not gracefully.
Yeah, probably
not another case.
Dynamite works well.
Dynamite works very well.
But they are keeping the foundations, I hear. So who knows?
There's an exhibit right adjacent to the dish, and they're going to try and retain that. So they have to use some. They just can't blow it up.
No.
Has anybody been there to see it?
No.
It's in a very remote part of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It's right in the center of the island.
And why Puerto Rico? Why is it there?
The limestone formations there formed a natural bowl for the antenna. That's why it's there.
Part of the work was already done, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jim Hesser, Dr. Hesser, do you know anything more about the Arecibo thing going on? Like what's going on down there?
Oh, I've read the same news releases that you all have from the National Science Foundation, and the only thing that has struck me that might influence the future directions is that the U.S. professional community is in the final phases of their decadal study. And if the decadal study said something about the value of trying to reimagine Arecibo, that might influence it. But from what I've read, the dangers are very significant to doing anything there, and the safest thing will be to dismantle it and start anew. It's sad, but it's really done a ton of excellent work.
Do you think they will rebuild it?
I have absolutely no idea. The world is going to have a lot to adapt to post-COVID, and if the political movements ever really step up to dealing with climate emergency. So I don't know.
And I gather there's an even larger one now in China that's just come on stream.
Yes, a colleague commented at a observatory coffee last week sometime, and on what he bases this, I don't know, but he says he's heard it is really a terrible instrument.
Oh,
But it could just simply be it's at the, many instruments at the very beginning of operations need a lot of commissioning effort, and perhaps that's all it is. So, no, but I don't have any insight to it.
Well, they went to a great effort to improve the accuracy of the spherical dish at
Right.
Arecibo. So that took a while.
Absolutely, and quite a bit of money too. So
And it's still in a usable position. It hasn't affected by this except when the cable goes through portions of it. So if they could put another receiver up top, it would be usable, I would think.
Are you volunteering, Reg, to erect it?
Well, we need to raise some funds first. So.
Well, I hear Reg is a pretty good project manager, so maybe he could step up to it. You never know.
Well, once I finish being president, I'll have a lot of time in my hands. So.
On that note, maybe we'll get started this evening. Welcome to Victoria Center Astro Cafe, our Monday night get-together. I think we may have a few new people joining us this evening, so that's great. Welcome if it's your first time here. It's nice to see some new names on the list, so that's great. I just wanted to make a couple of announcements to start with. One is that Lauri Roche and I do have some RASC calendars available for sale. They're $15 each. Please contact either one of us and we can see what we can arrange to get it to you. I live kind of in the core area and Lauri lives in the Saanich Peninsula area. So depending where you live, either may work. And Lauri's waving to us there. Hi, Lauri. Hopefully everybody received the AGM information today. I sent out in my past president hat a request for nominations for both council positions and our annual awards. So if you are interested in nominating somebody for an award, please have a look at the respective webpage. And thanks to Joe for quickly putting together an Ernie Fanning-Schmidt, did I say that even remotely right? Page. We didn't seem to have one on our new website. That's not so new anymore. So we have the information on that. On that note, in looking back at the minutes, Guy Walton, I think won it the first 2 years it was offered. I wasn't a center member then, and the minutes did not indicate what Guy had been recognized for. So if anybody could give that some thought, our longer term members, and I think that was 2004 and 2005. And I think after that point, the minutes indicate what people did. And so
I'll ask Bruno about that because he'll know. He's the one that does the awards.
Thanks, Joe. Very good. So yes, I have heard, looks like 2 nominations coming today, so that's great for day one. That's excellent news. Please keep them coming in. If anybody wants to talk further about being on council, for example, please don't hesitate to contact me or one of the current council members, Reg, or whomever. I also wanted to share something quickly here. just this. This was in the news, the email that was sent out by National today, both of these items. It was down the page a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure everybody saw that. They are making a drive to send gift memberships this year. So if you do have somebody who you think would like to get a gift membership, there's the information here. And probably more important to us, some people have noticed that we haven't received our observers handbooks yet this year. And as it turns out, the distribution shipping house that sends those out, so they get them directly from the publisher and then send them out, decided to move to a different location and actually didn't do any shipping during their move. And then didn't tell the national office about this. So the national office started getting queries as to where are the observers handbooks, and they were in boxes being shuttled somewhere around Greater Toronto. And so, but apparently now they are in the mail. So hopefully, if you hadn't seen that, that was in the news today's what's up this or what's going on this week from RASC National. So I thought I'd point those two things out. Were there any questions about any of that? So calendars, AGM nominations, and we tentatively are looking at February the 22nd for the AGM. And the gift memberships and the Observer's Handbook should be on its way to you. And I think some people may, has anybody here received one? As we're on the fringes of the world, things sometimes take a little longer to drift out here. And if they've started their voyage via Canada Post in Ontario, that my experience so far this year has been that things can get stuck there for a very long time. I had something arrive there and stay in a post office for 2 weeks before it left again.
Yeah, Mississauga is the sticking point. It can vanish into there for a long time.
Yeah, so I don't know. They must be having staffing problems or whatever. Great. Well, that was all I had for the announcement. So, Janeane, would you like to share your announcement?
Yes, thank you. As many of you know, I'm also on the board of the Nanaimo Astronomy Society. And our group would like to extend a guest invitation to RASC Victoria members to our regular monthly meeting this Thursday, November 26th, featuring inspiring young astronomy enthusiast Pranvera Hyseni of Kosovo. And I don't know, Reg, did you want to put that up on the screen, or could people just look for it?
I'll bring it up to the screen if it's okay for me to share the screen, Chris.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just read a couple more things about it. One of our board members, Bill Weller, a retired astronomer, had been following Pranvera on Facebook and the Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo group that she founded, and we're grateful she accepted our invitation to present. I'm grateful too for the wide-ranging and heartfelt tributes RASC Victoria members shared about Diane Bell at last week's Astro Cafe. And this invitation to a unique presentation is made for that reason in fellowship with your group. And 2 sentences about the presentation that, again, Reg will send out to the RASC email list. The presentation is called Astronomy is for Everyone. Pranvera's interest in astronomy started back when Kosovo was still entangled in the Serbian conflict of the late 90s. Pranvera has quickly become well known in the worldwide amateur astronomy space community for her work in public outreach and her efforts to establish the first observatory and planetarium in Kosovo. So thanks for the opportunity to let you know about that, and hope to see you there as guests. And it's Thursday, November 26th from 7 to 8 p.m. And the link is in the Zoom link is in the email.
Okay, the top thing, Reg? Yeah, that one.
Can you see anything there on my screen?
Yeah, we've got it now. Go. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so this is the message that I'll be sending out on the RASC Vic list. So this is the link. It's at 7 p.m. on November 26th, and the link will be here. And this is a picture of the presenter. So, they say remarkable things about her. She's barely 25 years old, and she already has a comet named after her. So she's pretty, an upper-coming superstar. And kudos to
This is happening on Thursday, the 26th.
That's great. So I think that the Nanaimo Center is very fortunate to have somebody with Janeane's skill to recruit so many great speakers. So thanks for inviting us to that, Janeane. But it's also it's more than just a one thing from Nanaimo this week, because we have another thing coming up as well on Wednesday, November 25th at 7:30. The UVic Observatory Open House features Cam Wipper. Is it Wipper or Wiper, Janeane?
Wipper.
Wipper. Cam Wipper is a Nanaimo native, and Janeane knows his story well. I don't know if you want to give an opportunity to promote this, Janeane, but this talk will be given at this link here, and I hope the link is correct. This was given to me by Karun just a little while ago. At any rate, do you want to tell a bit about the story, Janeane?
Well, I'm a fangirl of Cam, and the short version is he took for the astronomy courses that Vancouver Island University offers here in Nanaimo, and then went on to University of Hawaii Hilo to complete his Bachelor of Science in astronomy. And all the while, they have amazing opportunities for students to work at the planetarium, and he was a laser guide star spotter on Mauna Kea. Really amazing education. And he's now a telescope operator at the Canada-France-Hawaii Telescope, and actually just got a promotion because of his abilities, both technically and in outreach. So I did pitch successfully him to speak at the national level, the speaker series at RASC National. And it was probably the best presentation I've ever seen by anybody. So I can't tell you how much you would enjoy his articulate journey about, I think his title was, from Nanaimo to Hawaii or something. But anyway, check it out. Become a super fan.
Well, thanks for your role in making this happen. I know Janeane approached both myself and Karun at UVic about this, and we felt that because Cam is an example of alternate rather than highly academic careers in astronomy, it might be useful for the team that or the audience that goes to the UVic Open House more regularly would find it of interest. So they are demonstrating this or hosting this presentation there. So that's this Wednesday and Thursday, two great links with Nanaimo content. So thanks so much for that and your support there, Janeane. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll just add that, just so people know, Reg is also very collaborative from your side to Nanaimo Astronomy. So we both benefit from our frequent tete-a-tetes about what we should do about speakers. So thanks to Reg.
Oh, thanks for the kind words there. The next thing I'd like to do, if it's okay, Chris, is just go to the list. This is what's up this week at the RASC weekly. Most people will receive this. If you're not getting this, you have to request from it nationally. And if you don't know how to do that, please send me an email at the president's email, and I will show you where to find that information. But the first thing to show is this is a picture of the Edmonton skyline. Dave Robbins will be happy to see that, even though he doesn't have an official submission, they've certainly infiltrated all aspects. And Luca, who gave us a wonderful presentation here about a month ago, this is one of his photos that won a prize. So that. Now, did anybody catch the Lowell Observatory talk that was that occurred? It ended. I think it was from 5:30 to 7:30. Did anyone capture that or hear that?
Yeah, I did.
If it's on video, would you recommend that we watch it?
Very much so.
Yes, very good.
Very much.
Learn bot.
Extremely well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the RASC History Committee did this, and the Lowell Observatory. Has anybody been to the Lowell Observatory?
I went up the driveway, but the gate was closed.
Okay, I went there. You got to realize this is a really great opportunity. When COVID is finished and you find yourself in Arizona, right on the southern edge of the Grand Canyon, not too far away is Flagstaff, and they have this observatory there with a 2-foot diameter refractor, a beautiful telescope. And from the Lowell Observatory, and it's open for tours. I think I was fortunate enough to go into it. So that was a wonderful surprise to do that. But about an hour and a half drive to the east is the meteorite crater that's in Arizona. So you got the Grand Canyon, the Lowell Observatory, and the meteorite crater, all in a wonderful area. So and Arizona is such an interesting place to visit. So if you get around there, please keep that in mind.
It's a Dunn's place. I mean, how can we forget that?
Thank you, Lauri. I was going to say something, but I kept my mouth shut. So just since you've made that comment, I'd like to invite everybody down eventually someday when this all happens. This is not a special friends only kind of place. I'd love to have anybody come down.
So
They see things in infrared and ultraviolet.
So on Wednesday, November 25th, there's also an interesting talk on gravity waves at the with a person from the Perimeter Institute. And also, this is a picture of the prize-winning image that was basically provided we have a contest every month where the robotic telescope takes images and they give the raw images out, and people have contests to see who can process the image really well. And Jeff Dutton did a beautiful job here with this image of the Veil Nebula. And I mentioned Luca's Astro Image of the Week. And apart from that, there is a book called 2021 Night Sky Almanac that can be ordered from the website, I think. And they have a suggestion about they found water on sunlit parts of the moon, and here's your chance to see the crater where the water was found. So check that out if it's a clear sky on Wednesday night. It just might be, so keep that in mind. And with that, Chris, I'm going to turn off the screen and turn it back to you.
Great, thanks very much. Randy, you had something you wanted to share tonight.
Sure. Well, 51 years ago this week, there we go. Apollo 12 was up at the moon, and it was the second landing on the moon. There were some notable things about it. one of the really cool things is they landed within, what was it, 200 meters of Surveyor 3, which had landed in the, this was in the Sea of Storms, the Oceanus Procellarum. It had landed about 2.5 years previous. The idea was to see what the effect of sitting out in solar radiation for a couple of years, what that does to human engineering. And the interesting story there is it came back to Earth, and in one of the samples, they found some bacteria. It was Streptococcus, it's a very common Earth or human bacterium, but they figured that it was absolutely meticulously cared for. And I looked at a 1971 article, and they talked about how wonderful all the work was and how careful they were. And then, I think in the 90s, there's an article that went through all of the video footage of them treating the, dealing with the artifacts from Surveyor 3. And you see people with short sleeves on and breathing on it. And so they thought that bacteria went up and survived 2 years, and with that cold and that vacuum has lost credibility. But it's one of the reasons they're really worried about sending unsterilized spaceships up to, like, Enceladus is one of the targets they're thinking of going now, and they're worried that they might infect it with human or with earthly bacteria, so they're being very careful. Anyway, that's not what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about Alan Bean. And Alan Bean, he was the lunar module commander in Apollo 12. And he definitely had troubles with visual media, because one of the first things he did when he got up there is he pointed the television camera at the sun. And so there was no more live video for the whole mission. And I remember seeing that when I was a little kid. You know, I was, 8 years old at the time. And there was all these people talking, but there was no video at the time. And then he left a few of the film capsules on the surface of the moon. So some of the still pictures didn't come back. And then as they were actually doing their re-entry, the camera actually came out of its straps and hit him on the head. And so the first thing they did is, when they got him off, they had to give him 6 stitches. Anyway, he went on to become a painter. And he has quite a collection, which I've included a few in Enkin's Daily Moon, and I wanted to share them with you. And he has quite a good style, but he also liked he got to keep his boot. And so he liked to texture the paint with his boot. Anyway, this painting's called A New Frontier. Moonrock Earthbound. I rather like this one, being a geologist. Here they are ripping about 10 kilograms of equipment off of Surveyor. Surveyor took videos, and it also had a scoop. They wanted to know whether people would actually sink in when they landed on the moon. So that was one of its main projects. And this one is called The Fantasy, because of course, there's always one of the astronauts who never landed. And so he painted the 3 of them down on the surface of the moon as if all 3 of them were down there. This is a particularly famous picture, usually with, subtitle like, I have to scratch my nose. And that's this picture of coming home in one of those wonderful blue marble pictures. It must have been quite inspiring realizing that all of humanity is up there except for the three of them. That must have been quite the amazing feeling. So that's what I wanted to show off tonight. 51 years ago this week, they actually landed on Earth on the 24th. Oh, one more anecdote. It was terrible weather the day that they lifted off the week before. And the rocket got hit twice by lightning. And the whole panel was flashing because the fuel cells had failed. So they were on battery power and there wasn't quite enough power. Took 75 amps. I just found that really interesting. That's a lot of current that they needed, and their batteries weren't up to it. And one of the engineers on the ground remembered a switch, and turns out none of the other engineers down there had any recall of the switch that would reboot the fuel cells. And so they radioed that up, and one of the three astronauts remembered from a simulation the year before where that button was. And they hit it and everything worked fine after that. But they would have scrubbed the whole mission had they not, if that engineer hadn't remembered the button and if the astronaut hadn't remembered where it is. And they also figured that lightning might have disabled the explosive bolts that let the parachute out. And they decided that there was no point in telling the astronauts that they might not be able to survive the re-entry, because there was nothing you could do. There was absolutely no plan B for that parachute, which is surprising because they have a plan B for almost everything. And they got Apollo 13 to survive coming home. But this one, they were really, really worried that the lightning might have got the explosive bolts, might have exploded them prematurely. That's my story.
So
it was Alan Bean, by the way, who knew the switch, and the switch position was called SCE to aux, auxiliary. And actually, if you ever visit my house, I can show you. I actually have a light switch which has an SCE to aux option on it.
That's too cool.
It's very impressive, Chris. That's very impressive.
And you know, Randy Atwood, who is, you know, our past executive director, his license plates say SCE to aux. So
wow.
And I always call November 14th Apollo 12 launch day. I always call it SCE to aux day. So if you Google SCE to aux, you'll find the whole story there. And it's actually kind of funny to listen to the tapes of the flight going uphill, because, you know, they're still sitting on top of this gigantic rocket that's still firing away. Like they're in more danger than, you know, you would imagine. And they start teasing each other about it, you know, because these guys, you know, you showed that painting, you know, the guy doing this on the moon, and that's what that particular crew is like. They were really good friends, and they like to pull jokes, you know. And I could go on and on and on about Apollo 12. You know, they have a gag film that's you can find on YouTube somewhere, completely politically incorrect, I might add. And you know, they all had their own Corvettes that were all painted, you know, in a coordinated thing. Anyway, I better stop so the next person could come on.
Hey, Chris, you added value, a lot of value to my story.
I was just wondering what, Chris, your light switch does.
It's actually just a light switch, but you know, I mean, you know, just like the plate for it. I found.
So I wondered if it lifted the roof off the house or something.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you one more story. You know, they actually put a little gizmo, Conrad and Bean, when they went down to the moon, that they were going to attach to their camera, and then it would have taken a picture remotely. So they were going to take a picture of the two of them standing together on the moon, and you know, and then when the film was developed, people would say, "Who took the picture?" And but unfortunately, the little gizmo got lost in one of their sample bags, and they didn't find it until it was too late. So unfortunately, that little stunt didn't happen.
Alan Bean is the world's worst photographer.
Oh, well.
Why he took up painting?
I'll tell you something. In the next issue of the National Sky News, I've done a little article about Apollo 14, which is the 50th anniversary is coming up at the beginning of February, and you know, I had to find some pictures for that, and I've decided I'm handing the Booby Prize for Apollo on the Moon photography to Shepard and Mitchell from Apollo 14. I knew it wasn't that great, but I didn't really realize how bad it was until you know, I was asked to write this article, and you know, of course, find some illustrations to go with it. I mean, I think the Apollo 12 guys did a better job than 14, I'm afraid.
Good. Well, thank you very much. That was a very good STEM start there, and great additional information on there. Dave, you have a photo for us, I believe?
I'll read you a little bit first.
Sure.
So, Alistair has been coaching a newcomer to the club in Edmonton, Pulami, and she has a 4-inch refractor, 540 millimeter f5, tracked but not guided on an EQ6 Pro mount. She took this photograph here. There we go. And it's this one here. So that's Andromeda. And that was just the other day. Let's see if I can get back here. Can you all see that?
Oh, yes.
Good.
They had clear skies?
Yeah, apparently it was a little cool. November 19th, so it would have been probably minus 15 that day. So it would have been just a touch cool. So I will return you to, return you if I can figure out how to do this. Stop screen share, there we go. There you go.
Yeah, that turned out very well.
Yeah. 10-minute exposure, no filter.
Randy, I have something you might be interested in. It's a limited edition book called Apollo by Andy Bean. It's signed in a limited edition of 3,000, I think. I bought it back in the 1990s while in the States, and it has all these pictures that you showed and a whole bunch of others. So if you'd like to borrow it sometime, I'd be happy to lend it to you. And it has his signature. So for those of you who like to touch the signatures of the greats, there's one there for you to touch.
That's very neat.
One more anecdote is he had some very small amount of moon dust, and he liked to put it into the paintings. But what irritated him is he came into the module just covered, and they looked like coal miners when they came into the lunar capsule. And there was a whole bunch of dust that he could have taken, but he didn't think of it at the time. He didn't know it would be useful for him later on.
Great. Does anybody else have anything to share this evening?
Chris, I have something.
Oh, please, John. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just share the screen. There's something has happened in the, can you see that? Not yet, I guess.
No, it hasn't. There it is. It started up.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. Don Page.
Something has happened in the world of theoretical physics that is causing quite a bit of excitement amongst a relatively small group of high-level theorists. And I thought it might be fun to just share it on Astronomy Cafe so that you guys would have heard it before most other people. The fellow in this picture is Donald Page, or Don Page. He's a colleague, former colleague of mine when I was a prof at U of A. And he was a student of Stephen Hawking's. And he contributed some interesting ideas to some of Hawking's work. But something that's happened recently was written up in a magazine called Quantum Magazine. Now it's kind of a glossy magazine, and it's probably overstating what's going on a little bit. But nevertheless, let me just take you through it quickly. In a landmark series of calculations, physicists have proved that black holes can actually shed information, which seems impossible by definition. The work appears to resolve a paradox that Stephen Hawking first described 5 decades ago. Now, there's a picture of a black hole, or idea of it. This is a description of what went on. I don't know if you can read that very well, but it says, in a series of breakthrough papers, theoretical physicists have come tantalizingly close to resolving the black hole information paradox. And they now think with some confidence that information actually does escape from a black hole. So if you jump into one, you will not be gone for good. Particle by particle, the information needed to reconstitute your body will actually emerge. Most physicists have long assumed it would. And string theory certainly supports that, but string theory is very difficult to manage. So that's not necessarily a satisfying result. String theory has an infinite number of solutions, which is not a helpful thing for poor theorists that are trying to find out what is the right solution. At any rate, this idea was inspired by string theory, but it stands on its own without any string theory input. And that's a real reversal for gravity, because according to Einstein's general relativity, the gravity of a black hole is so intense that nothing can escape. Stephen Hawking did not really question this idea, and that remains sort of the classical idea of black holes for a very long time. But I want to just jump down now to something they've labeled the curve becomes the key. In 1992, this fellow, Don Page, was spending his Christmas at a vacation house in Pasadena. It was actually Kip Thorne's house. If you know the name Kip Thorne, he's probably one of the world's most famous cosmologists today. Anyway, Page was thinking about this problem, and he had some history in this because his first studies of black holes when he was a graduate student were key to Stephen Hawking's realizations that black holes actually emit radiation. The result, random quantum processes at the edge of the hole. So Page was aware of that. There's another picture of Don Page. So if a 100-kilogram astronaut falls into the hole grows by a mass of 100 kilograms, but when the hole emits the equivalent of 100 kilograms of radiation, traditional black hole theory would say there's no information in it. You can't tell what went in. And Page had this idea that because that violated quantum physics, he didn't really like it. He had a bit of a falling out with Hawking over it. Hawking nevertheless wrote a very nice reference for him that caused us to hire him at the University of Alberta. At any rate, Page came up with the idea of a curve, which is shown in this, this picture. And he did a calculation to show that what happens is that the entropy, that is the loss of information, is continuing, and Hawking's idea would be it would continue right until the black hole disappears. Page did a calculation that was based on some suppositions that showed it turning around and coming down again, which meant that the information that would actually get out of the hole again. I don't want to belabor this too much because it's kind of complicated stuff, but I just thought you should know that quite a few people are very excited about this idea right now. And so they're talking about the inside out black hole. And a number of people are studying it. They're taking the calculations much further than Don Page did. And hopefully something might come out of this that would actually solve what for me has been the most surprising to understand puzzle in physics, that we have these two theories, quantum gravity, general relativity, and quantum physics, and they're not compatible with each other. And this idea might be a way that they could be pulled together. So when somebody asks you about the Page curve, just remember you heard it first at Astronomy Cafe. Thank you.
Very good, John. I have a question for you. When they say information gets out, what kind of information are they talking about?
Well, it would be all of the information about our DNA, all of the information about how our bodies put together. Basically, it would be every bit of physical information that fell into the hole as you fell in. And if it was you, Gary, that fell in, it would actually be quite a lot of information because you're full of it.
I have another book that might interest you. It's called
You're excellent.
Decoding the Universe. It's also called, and the subtitle is How the New Science of Information is Explaining Everything in the Cosmos from Our Brains to Black Holes. It's written by someone named Charles Seife, S-E-I-F-E, just in case you're wondering.
Well, that's impressive, Mike. Holy smokes.
That's interesting, Michael. That probably has some stuff related to this, I'm sure.
I think it relates somewhat to what is information, which I think is the question that Gary was asking. So, and I'm not sure I can answer it, and I've read this book at least twice.
Information scientists, people that deal with quantum information, have been talking about this concept for a long time. They actually think that information may end up being something that helps us understand physics better than anything that we've had up until now. So I'm sure what's in the book is good background for this.
John, does this have anything to do with the Hawking radiation?
Absolutely. In Hawking radiation, what happens is if in a quantum system inside a black hole, when it's very small, you have spontaneous creation of pairs of particles.
Mm-hmm.
And it can happen that one of those particles goes out and one stays in. It can also happen that those two particles are quantum entangled, which means that they share information in a way that if you know something about one of those particles, you know something about the other. So Don Page's idea is that it's the entanglement of the particles that actually results in the fact that information gets out in that Hawking radiation. So thanks for the question. It's a good one.
Okay.
That's sort of brought the whole meeting to a stunned silence. So I better shut up.
You can always explain entanglement, John. You know, that shouldn't take too long.
Pardon me, Dave?
Gary here. You could always explain entanglement. That shouldn't take too long, should it? No.
Just remember Schrodinger's cat.
I think we'll leave that for another meeting.
Yeah, probably. Good idea.
It can be a dead cat bounce.
Yeah.
Very good. Does anybody have anything else for us this evening?
I got something.
Please, Chris.
Okay. This is a little. Geez, I just hit share screen and I've changed my computer around a little bit and it's come up with something rather strange. But anyway, oh, just a second. Anyway, I have been working for a little while on a little paper on something that has to do with somebody else who's at this meeting quite a bit, and that's Jim Hesser. This is in the December issue of the RASC Journal, and years ago I wrote kind of very little paper while I was doing my graduate work on space-based astronomy in Canada, and and there were some things in there that I thought needed some further investigation, and I didn't, and you know, other things kind of overtook it, and so I finally got around to it in the past year or two, and it's kind of an expanded version of that, but it talks about the first ideas for Canadian space telescopes. You know, Gordon Walker, who everybody knows here in town, came up with a thing called the Canadian Space Telescope, along with his friend, I've just forgotten his first name, but Campbell. And that didn't really go anywhere, but it kind of morphed into an idea called Starlab, and which was going to be a telescope involving the U.S., Australia, and Canada that was to fly on the shuttle. And so that whole story is kind of told in the current issue of the journal with this article I did, and Jim helped me out a fair bit, and so did Gordon, of course. And I think it's quite an interesting tale. One of the things I found out was that there was some consideration given, and this is just one line in the article, but there was some consideration being given in the 80s that the folks at the DAO would volunteer to grind a mirror for the Hubble Space Telescope And maybe it's too bad they didn't formally make that offer and get taken up on it. So anyway, I would put up a picture of this, but it's I've just upgraded my computer, and so I'm constantly getting little surprises here. So so anyway, I'm not sure why it's not working, but it's not working. So there we go. And
demonstration effect.
But look for it in this journal, this issue of the Journal of the RASC.
So Chris, I have a question for you, please.
Yeah.
Gordon Walker used to have stories of how things went when he was building things, and it was rather interesting to listen to him tell them. Is there any book that actually has stories of Canadian astronomy? Like if we wanted to, oh, there you go.
Yes, so it's finally decided to work. Well, there's the best book on the history of Canadian astronomy, and I'm just going to grab it. It's right over here. It's by a guy named Richard Jarrell, and it's called the Cold Light of Dawn. And Jarrell unfortunately died a couple of years ago. And this book was written in the late 80s, so it doesn't really, it only very briefly touches on this situation here. And so I felt it needed to be kind of delved into a little bit more, and so hence this article. So don't forget to download your journal unless you're one of those smart people who get the hardcover subscription. And I don't know if Jim wants to say anything, but
I look forward to reading your finished article, Chris. And certainly talking with you about Star Lab brought back a lot of memories. And speaking of Rich Jarrell's book, it really stops at a stage where Canadian astronomy was undergoing a tremendous transformation in the 1980s. And the ensuing 40 years or so have just been amazing in terms of the progress and the development of not only the science, but of the technologies and the team approaches required to do modern projects. So that Star Lab was a really interesting experience, very educational. And today, as I think everybody here knows, there's this project called Castor, which is a proposal to build an ultraviolet imaging telescope. And that is highly ranked in the new Canadian long-range plan for astronomy and astrophysics. And it's a Canadian-led mission, which has, in certain ways, a lot of, for me, and I think for Gordon, people who were involved in Star Lab, it reflects a lot of the goals that we had back in the early 80s, but it's really realizable, and it's something that Canada could really lead the development of, were the funding agencies to decide to get behind it. So
yeah, and yeah, what Jim says is true. There's just been lots of amazing stuff in the last 40 years, and most of that hasn't really been told yet. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot before that, which you'll find in Jarrell's book. And
you should write a book, Chris.
Yeah, maybe.
Last 40 years in Canadian astronomy.
Well, there's another thing up at the DAO called the Canadian Astronomy Data Center, and I think that's really worth some attention. You know, because there's, you know, there are 3 places on Earth where you can find Hubble data, and one of them is the CADC, for example, and the CADC had a big role in getting the internet going in Canada. But and I'm just give it a very brief mention in my Hubble book, but maybe, I mean, if this pandemic doesn't end, maybe, well, it actually has to end, because I have to get up to get some of the archival information. You know, fortunately, most of the information I needed for Starlab I got before the pandemic started, but that's quite an interesting story. And then there's the whole business of what Walker and Campbell did to, you know, advance, you know, the work with exoplanets, and there's probably lots of other stuff that I haven't even thought about, you know, that Jim would know about. So so there's lots of material there. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great. Are there any other questions or comments or?
Chris, I just want, oh, sorry, Reg, I just wanted to say thank you again to Randy Enkin, who gave a fabulous presentation last Saturday night for our friends of the DAO. We had about 55 people online, and it was really fun. He did just a fantastic job, and we really just want to say thank you again, Randy, for helping us out with that. We really appreciated it. So
thank you.
And it is recorded and will be going on our website, so on the FDAO website. So if you missed it, I'll make sure that I get a chance to let you know when that's going to come up. It'll be up in the next couple of days.
Great, thank you, Lauri.
Thanks.
Reg, did you?
I just wanted to say a welcome to some of our new members that have joined for the first time at Astro Cafe. Normally, post-COVID, we'll be getting together in a portable building at on the grounds of Sir James Douglas School in Fairfield District every Monday night. And normally in a situation like that, it's a little bit easier to meet and introduce other people. But I do know that Brock Johnston, Brock is a proud owner of a 9.25-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. And I'd like to introduce him to John McDonald. John, could you raise your hand up? John is a proud owner of an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, and John has been having a lot of fun doing some astrophotography with that. And so if you have questions, Brock, connect with me, and I'll make you sure you can connect with John, and we can make things happen.
Sounds good.
Back to you.
Great, and thanks. Maybe I'll just take an opportunity to say hello to Boy Wen Pang, who is I think currently a member of a center elsewhere, but has come here for school. So I see his name here tonight. So welcome. And so there's a couple of people, yeah, who have joined us this evening, I think for the first time. So that's really great to see. Does anybody have any final closing comments?
There's a comet out there.
Okay, tell us
It's
more
heading
about.
north. It's heading north out of Orion. I stumbled upon it the other night. I actually caught it in binoculars. I don't know. I think I saw an image put on Twitter by somebody, and so then I was letting the dogs out to pee around midnight, and then I ended up with quite cold toes as I'm out there with binoculars tracking it down, because it was actually quite easy to see. I think it was somebody from Calgary had put it up, from the Calgary Center. And if you go to the Comet Chasers website, just put in Comet Chasing, it's the main one. It'll show you the map. I think on the 27th, it'll be just, trying to get my coordinates here, just west of the Crab Nebula on the 27th. So I guess that's this upcoming Friday. So in a binocular, it'd be easy to probably see both of them in the same field of view because it's really not that far off.
You need
it was
to see
just
the sky and not just the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but 3 nights in a row just a few days ago, every time I put the dogs out, it was clear. So that's when I had to go get rid of the little birding binoculars I was using the first night and wander out to my car and grab my 15 by 70s to have a better look. And each time it's not that bright. Well, it's probably about 8th or 9th magnitude. So on an image, if you had a camera, it would show up as a little green dot. Let's see if I can do this, if I can make my screen share. I'm on an iPad, so I have no idea what its screen will do. What am I doing? I don't know what that means. I guess in Zoom, photos. Well, that doesn't make sense. What button do you push? Did I go to photos? Maybe it's in photos.
Yeah, you have to make sure you've told it the right page or the right thing, otherwise.
There it is. Okay, can you see that?
Hasn't popped up yet.
You have to push share.
I had to do done?
There,
Okay.
there, now it's coming up. There it is.
Okay, so it's right down here is the head of, well, there's, you can see Taurus, right? In the Crab Nebula.
Okay, yeah.
On the 27th, it'll be, there's a star, the bright star at about 2 o'clock to the Crab Nebula.
Okay, yeah.
It'll be right by there.
Oh, okay. And there was some suggestion, and I haven't been able to confirm that the weather later this week may be a bit clearer, so. Right?
You never know. You have to look outside.
Yeah.
If you listen to the Lowell Observatory talk tonight, you'll have heard Klaus talk about when they got to look through the giant Discovery telescope because they decided to go to the party and they got to dance with the telescope because a lot of people didn't go. And when they went, it was perfectly clear skies after their little tour. And they got to look through an eyepiece through a, what is it, like a 10-meter scope or whatever? That'd be crazy. The description he gave of seeing Europa in front of Jupiter, looking like looking at Mars through a big telescope. And Randy, I thought of you when he was talking about taking high, very good photos of the moon. He showed some photos that they'd taken of with that refractor of the moon, and they were just stunning for taking, which is like, well, I mean, it's a, 24-inch telescope, but still it was quite impressive, the detail that was seen. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? David, you appear to be talking, but we can't hear you. David Lee?
Can you hear me now, Chris?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, it's something funny about my headset. Anyways, this Sunday, there's a Penumbral Lunar Eclipse just before midnight on Sunday evening and moving into Monday morning. Subtle, of course, it's a penumbral, but if you want to look at a slight dimming, you can certainly try to look for that.
Great, thank you. So if we do get any clear skies, there might actually be some things to look at this week. Does anybody else have anything, or is that it for this evening?
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting, Chris.
Okay, well, thanks. We'll be back next week, last day of November. So hopefully see everybody on November 30th. And take care and have a great week. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.